The Board of Electrologists and Body Art Practitioners Electrology Advisory Committee meeting is convening at 9:23 a.m. Sorry about the tardiness. On March 10th, 2021, the Health Licensing Office in Salem, Oregon, by telephone conference call. I will now call roll. Audrey Jones, you just say aye.
Here, aye.
Jamie Bloom. Okay, I see you shaking your head. Sheila Ahern. And Sheila's here, and Danielle.
I'm here.
Hi, Danielle. Members, when you wish to speak, please state your name for the record. You're actually going to use the little hand. There's a little hand. Just raise it, and then April will grab you, and then we can talk. For the record, public members calling into the public phone line are asked to email April Fleming at april.fleming@dhsoha.state.or.us. Provide your first name and last name, and note that you want to provide public comment. Everyone is asked to use appropriate language, manners, and protocol. We're conducting board business. This meeting is now called to order. Ding, ding. Okay, so I have the agenda. Let me first start with this. Did everybody get the materials I sent yesterday? Okay. Did everybody have a chance to look them over? Okay, that's okay. We're going to walk through everything one thing at a time, so that's fine. Audrey has forwarded on a advocacy letter about the current curriculum and ways that it might be able to change the curriculum to further the electrology profession continuing. Oh, there she is. Hi, Audrey. So I just sent that to you. It'll be in your email box, and it says electrology advocacy letter. It's lengthy. Cerinthia is here, and she's seen it, so she'll probably talk to this more than I will. And what we're kind of thinking is that we will probably have an education committee. So we might have things going simultaneously parallel, and then I may do the rules, and we may have to come back around and do the rules for the curriculum, because we don't want to rush this. It's a lot of really great information, which very appreciate you giving us that. That's awesome. But that's kind of our plan. It's a rough plan. Like, I don't even know if we'll get through everything today, so we may have to schedule another rack for the future. We're on a very loose timeline. There's nothing that has to be done right now, so we want to make sure we get it right. So I'm going to give you a little, let me share my screen. Can you see? Slideshow. Can you guys see my slideshow? Okay. So this is just a little training that Heather normally gives. I'm going to give it, just kind of going through what the Rules Advisory Committee does, what the purpose is, noting that we're in a public meeting, and kind of what those requirements are, and what a quorum is, and then kind of walking through what a law is and how the legislature plays into what the executive branch does, which is you guys are part of the executive branch, and just kind of giving you that governmental tutorial that the only people in government understand. So I'm going to do that, and feel free to raise your hand, and April will grab you, and you can ask questions during this. It's not like you have to listen. If you have a question, just ask. Okay. So, as I said just now, there's 3 branches of government. The legislative branch makes laws, also known as Oregon Revised Statutes, ORS. And they basically lay the foundation for what the executive branch of government can do. So if it says make a rule, we make a rule at the executive branch. And then the judicial branch looks at, cases and makes determination based on cases and, what's that word called? What's the word? Precedents, there you go. And so there's 3 branches, and a lot of times the executive branch or say a committee wants to change a rule, but the law doesn't allow for it. So part of my job is to say it's not in the law, we can't do that. Like, for example, and I'm really getting ahead because this is all covered later, so I'm going to give you the example anyway. In your laws, your ORSs, it says must be 18 years of age to get a license. So the committee or the board couldn't say you can be 17 years of age, you can be 16 years of age. That's hard and fast. You have to be 18 or older, and that's it. So that's kind of the example, the easy example to give, that if it's not lawful, we can't make a rule out of it. So there you go. Hopefully you understand that. Laws are enacted by the legislature. And like I said, the agencies are given powers by the statute, so the state agency has no inherent power, but only the power that's given by the legislature. And then there's a fancy citation there of why that is. So it's organic legislation. Laws are promulgated by created by agencies. Agencies have the power to create rules, which are grounded in the governing statute, which is what I just said. So if the law allows us to do it, we can do it in a rule. If it's hard and fast, like you have to be 18, we can't make that change. There are some things that are, I'll get to that. So I went over this, ORSs and OARs, so you'll hear that use interchange. Just know that the ORSs are statutes that the legislature decides what we're going to do, and then the OARs or what the executive branch, this RAC, put into place. So this is where it kind of gets tricky when we're looking at laws and how we can make rules to fit the profession and the needs and all of these things. So there are 3 different types of terms that are in laws. One's the exact term, an inexact term, or a delegative term. So this is a good one for exact terms. The same thing I just said about being 18 years of age. So if it's 21 years of age, 30 days, Marion County, we can't make it Polk County. Or we can't make it 60 days. This is it. We can't change it making a rule that says something different. And that's kind of my job to say like, oh, no, it has this. So my job is to know what the laws say and know how we can marry those with rules that still remain lawful. I know it gets frustrating, but I'm the police. I'm the law police, the rule police. Those with less precise meaning, which are inexact, so it's to be an example of an employee or a weapon or wildlife. So a weapon could be a knife, or it could be a gun, or it could be a rake. So you get to determine what those weapons look like. It just has to be a weapon. It can't be a goat. The weapon can't be a goat. Well, I guess maybe you could. You can justify goat being a weapon. Anyway, you get the idea. Hey, I'm missing one. And then delegative terms is when the legislature says, here is the language and board office, we want you to make a rule. So it's delegated. So in your statute, it talks about education and training, which is approved by the office by rule. That is automatic delegation for the office and the board to decide what the training and education looks like. They do give us some parameters around that. It has to be a school and things like that. But so that's where we are today. Like we can make the curriculum. If you guys want to change the curriculum, there is room in the law for you to do that as an executive branch in a rule. So that would be kind of the determining factor. So delegative term means you got to stay with the intent. So you can say a dog, but you can't say a cat. You can't move away from what the generality is. So it's a dog, it's a dog, it's a dog. You can't make it a cat. So the rulemaking process, in a nutshell, is also on your there's a administrative rule schedule, which kind of gives some dates kind of behind these bullet points. So we hold a rack. That's what we're doing today. I have one for tattooing and body piercing also scheduled. I draft rules, which I've done. And basically how I draft rules is I collect things so whenever we file rules last, and then moving forward, I collect information from staff, information from the board, the public has information, I collect all of that, and then see where we can make changes to the rule, can we not, ask the questions if we need some legal advice, things like that. So you got that information yesterday, and then and this can be done in steps, which I think this is probably how it's going to be this time, is we draft the rules and we file it with Secretary of State. And there's a 28-day public comment period. It's usually from the 1st of the month to the 28th of the month. We don't have to hold a hearing, but whenever it's a controversial or there's a lot of things changing, there's a lot of kind of ifs, ands, or buts, we like to hold a hearing, which the hearing for you guys is June 16th. That's today. That could change based on all of these racks, and if we need to meet more, meet less, I don't know. So these are just flexible dates I like to put on paper to kind of give me a guiding light as to how I at least a plan on how we can move forward. And then if I have to change lanes, I can do that by following my schedule and making changes. So the public can do written comments for the 28 days. They can come and do verbal comments, which we do on just like this now, or they can do both. It doesn't matter, but basically what the board's required to do in the office is to consider all public comment. We don't necessarily have to do what the public comment says, but it has to be considered, discussed, weighed in, things like that. And then once the board has approved the rules, then we would file them permanent, which when your schedule would be December 1, 2021. Okay. What's the purpose of a rack? So as I said in my welcome letter, remember you represent interests of persons who are likely to be affected by the rules, so other electrologists, electrology schools, even customers to some degree. They provide advice and recommendations to the board and agency, which, as all of you know, I'm not an electrologist, tattooer, or piercer. I'm an analyst, so I analyze the words on the paper about your profession. I don't know all the ins and outs of the profession, so we rely on you as RAC members and board members to give us that information. Same with Cerinthia. She relies on the profession to help her write exams and do curriculums and education and all those kinds of things. So we're just hold the light, but you guys definitely make it shine brighter. How's that? That was good. And then, of course, the RAC is a public meeting, so everyone got notice, was posted to the web. What else? That's pretty much, got to have a quorum. It's got to be posted to the web and put out for public to see with an agenda, which reasonably describes what's going to happen. So, yeah, it's a public meeting, and so, let's see. So right here, we have to give notice, provide access to the public, which we have done on another phone. There's access to the public. Access for person with disabilities, kind of not relevant at this point because they would just come in on the phone. I don't know if we haven't had that come up, but I suppose if there's a hearing issue, there might be something we'd have to do. I don't know what that would be. And then we need to record it, which April does. April's in the back over there. And or take minutes, which we don't do. But in this case, I always do a report. It's a pretty much bulleted report, kind of here's the decisions that were made, and here's why, and here's any fiscal impacts. And then the committee and any public body can vote on official actions. One of the most important part of Rules Advisory Committee is it's an opportunity to go through what the changes or deletions would do, how it would fiscally impact small business, electrologists, the public. And so as part of your materials, and I'll walk you through each of them as we go, and I kind of keep notes as you guys talk about things and make changes and drafts. I'll keep kind of notations of how that could be impact fiscally. But that's an important job for the RAC, is to provide that information on how it will impact small business, the public, and electrologists. again, then my job is to make sure that, that we're always writing rules related to laws, and that the laws allow us to write those rules, whether it be delegative, inexact, or exact terms. That is it. Is there any other, does anyone have any questions from that? Hearing none? Going once? Okay. Okay, moving on. I got a lot of paper here, so let me get out my stuff. Okay. So we've got the rules schedule, which, like I said, is flexible. So, and we'll come back around to this at the end. I think there's on the agenda. Look at the rulemaking timeline to see if there's further meetings that need to be done with the RAC, a plan for Corinthia to move forward on a education committee. So we'll look at all of that when we do this at the end of the meeting. And then the next thing in your packets are the actual rules that are redlined. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to kind of we're just going to go through them as we go, and we'll talk about them. If you don't have questions about things, then we'll just keep going. So if there's something that you don't see that's defined that should be or is wrong, just raise up your hands. It's interactive, so I'm not the only one that should be talking, even though I'm good at it. Okay, so the first part is definitions. And generally the definitions appear to be pretty straightforward. There have been some changes to how we do exams, what documentation we need, and things like that. So some of that is reflected here in definitions, like education institutions means a high school, licensed high school under RS 335, Oregon Career School licensed under HEC, or community college licensed also under HEC. So basically that just allows, say if, for example, at Coffee Creek Correctional Facility, they partner with Portland Community College and have an advanced aesthetics program. So if, say they wanted to do an electrology program, they are technically a community college. So this would allow for those types of things to occur. Or if a high school wanted to have, through the CTEC program, they wanted to teach electrology, this would allow for them to do that. It's kind of a workaround. They don't define school in your law, and they do give some reference to HEC, but in cosmetology, this was a real big problem. So we were able to kind of finagle this definition, and since the laws appear to be the same, of course, all this has to go through legal first. I think this will work. And then I added HEC in there because we use it a lot, and I didn't have it defined. And then adjusting the definition of official transcript to reflect that the practical exams are being held, off-site at the school, and then what those transcripts need to look like. Have a practical date, final practical exam scores, all those types of things that need to be on the transcript. Is there any questions about that stuff? Okay, I like it. Oh, you know what? Sorry, your space. And then renumbering, which is pretty basic. The next one is a request from Corinthia that part of the issue is there's one career school that does electrology, and as of now they're not doing the electrology program, right, Corinthia?
It's suspended at this time.
Suspended at this time.
Due to COVID and, yeah.
But in order to really make this curriculum the requirement, we like to reference an addition. So at this point, we don't, all we have is what's written in the rule. There's no like, here's the domain, and then here's all the things under that domain. So that's something Cerinthia will be working on. And I do have some documentation when we get there. I think we're going to talk about that. We can talk about it now. You want to talk about it now? So we'd be talking about the letter from Audrey, and then I could share on the screen the draft curriculum thing.
I'm sorry, what?
The draft curriculum?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I could share the draft curriculum. Oh, Jamie. Jamie's hands up.
All right. If it would be all right with Audrey, is there any way we can see her letter so we can read it before we talk about it?
Yeah.
Because that would be very helpful. I do think we need a school, and I do think we need to work on that. But I would like to see it, if it's all right with Audrey, before we discuss it. Even if you're talking, I can read it over a little bit to get an overview of her letter.
Yes, I emailed it to the group just after 9.
All right?
This morning?
Yeah. Did everybody, oh, Sheila.
There's a lot of information.
You can unmute, Sheila.
Is that better?
Yes.
Ask her to turn up her volume.
I do have a couple questions on the approved course, the wording, and I don't know, in my mind, I would like to say that before we discuss audit, just to clarify what we've got now.
Okay.
Be okay?
Yeah.
One question is what you have in red, as listed in the date, electrology curriculum available on the office website. I don't understand that.
Oh, so what that would look like is the course must include 235 hours of theory, 360 hours of practical experience in the following areas as listed in the June 1st, 2021 Electrology curriculum available on our website. So it gives, so we have a place to point to for people who are taking courses, and it allows us to look at schools and approve their curriculum, not just based on the basics of what's in the rule, but a more in-depth guide.
The thing that I see that has changed over time, and I don't know where it slipped off, but number 11, combinations of electrolysis and thermolysis, we have blend in parentheses, and originally, going back to the very beginning of the rules and many other letters, I didn't see copies of everything, but we also had the word and sequence, which applies to, one followed by the other, not necessarily at the same time. And this would also apply, if we kept that word in, it would also apply to a lot of the new technology that uses thermolysis in one amount of timing or intensity followed by another intensity still within the thermolysis range. So I really think that needs to be in there as it was originally back in 89. And I thought it comes back to 91. It was still in then. I don't know where it fell off. But I think it definitely, I think now especially needs to, because the technology has changed, especially regarding how thermolysis is delivered with a lot of the computerized machines, and well blend as well. But I really, I don't know if you know where that disappeared, how that disappeared.
I can do a review. What if we do this? I'll send you the Cerinthia's draft curriculum. You have Audrey's letter. I will look for that while you guys review those two documents, like for 5 minutes, and then we'll come back.
Okay, so I was thinking if we're going to be discussing something for a school, what they need to teach. It would be good to have this, talk about the wording of what we've got now. That's my contribution.
Yes, and I will, when you guys are doing reviewing, I will be looking up you said 1989?
The original rules, yeah, it was in the very original rules. I got a copy from 91, it was in there then, and I must not have saved everything from that date on, but it's, on the very original rules, it was on the back page in very teeny tiny print. But,
Okay, I will see if I can't loot around and find that information. We can hope.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Jamie.
I did not get Audrey's letter.
Okay,
I haven't gotten anything from you besides these rules, which actually I had a copy of it you sent a couple of days ago, and I did read those, but I realized it's the same document. It's on it. It said proposed or something like that. It said unofficial copy on the first one. This one doesn't say unofficial copy on it. So.
Did you get the email from me yesterday or the one from April the day before?
I think it's April the day before. It says Oregon Administration Rules unofficial copy.
Yeah, no,
And
I sent an email.
And I got that from April.
I sent an email yesterday and I sent one today to jbloom@sniotech.com.
Yeah, that's me. I got that one. I've been reading it, and it's basically almost identical to the one April sent that said unofficial rules.
Right, but I
But
also,
anyway, I did not get April's letter yet.
Audrey's,
Is it a test?
No.
Is it a test?
it's an attachment, yes.
It's an attachment. All right, I'll go look again.
And I'm attaching Cerinthia, I'm gonna resend everything here. And then attach Cerinthia's. Okay.
This is Alice Berry. I did not receive any email either. And I'm only on the phone. I tried to log in to the Zoom meeting, and it says it's an incorrect passcode. I can't get to that, so I'm not seeing anything that you're presenting there.
I don't know who it was.
I'm sorry, what was your name?
Alice Berry,
Alice Berry.
B-E-R-Y.
I can send the materials out to everybody if they want.
Sammy can send
Everyone?
Sammy can send the materials out to everyone.
That would be